At the charity gala, Alexander led me by the arm to the center of the stage. His voice, amplified by the microphone, filled the entire hall as he thanked everyone for attending despite their busy schedules. As the representative of the Thorn Corporation, I have an important announcement to make. I stood beside him, my heart pounding. Was this finally my moment? He looked at me, his eyes clouded with an emotion I couldn't decipher. As you all know, my girlfriend, Isabella, has been silently supporting my career from behind the scenes. He paused, then continued. Today, she will once again prove her selflessness. I blinked in confusion. What selflessness? What was he talking about? Miss Evelyn Ross, an old friend of mine, is currently facing a life-threatening situation. His voice was low and firm. She needs a healthy kidney. After a match, Isabella's kidney was found to be compatible. A wave of dizziness washed over me, as if I had been struck on the head. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I subconsciously took a step back. Alexander, what are you saying? He ignored me and continued into the microphone. As part of this charity event, I am announcing that Isabella will donate one of her kidneys to Miss Evelyn Ross. The surgery is scheduled for next Monday. The audience erupted in thunderous applause and praise. The world was spinning, and everything around me became a blur. Are you insane? You want me to donate a kidney to her? His eyes were chillingly cold. This is an announcement, not a discussion. I demanded. I don't agree. What right do you have to make this decision for me? His gaze sharpened. Because you are just her substitute. The words were a sharp knife, plunging into my heart. I knew he had someone else in his heart, but hearing him say I was a substitute still stung. So for the past 3 years you've just been treating me as a substitute. He didn't deny it. His silence was more damning than any words. Just then, Evelyn walked slowly onto the stage. Alexander, don't be like this. If Miss Croft is unwilling, I can wait for another donor. I glanced at her and said coldly, you don't look like you are in urgent need of a kidney transplant at all. A flicker of panic crossed her eyes, but she quickly reverted to her pitiful act. The doctor said I might not last another month. He took her hand and looked at me. Isabella, you have no choice. Pack your things and go to the hospital for a pre-op check-up tomorrow. I looked straight into his eyes. I can't have this surgery. I am pregnant. After being with him for 3 years, I had thought I had at least earned some affection. I never expected this. You are a monster. I turned and pushed through the crowd, running towards the deck. I could hear his angry roar and the commotion of the crowd behind me, but I couldn't hear anything anymore. He chased after me. Isabella, come back. I turned, a bitter smile on my lips. Did you ever love me? His expression wavered for a moment, but it quickly returned to its cold indifference. That is not important. Your purpose is to be here for Evelyn. I laughed. A desolate sound. She walked forward with a feigned concern. Miss Croft, don't do anything foolish. He is just worried about me. Please come down, I snapped. Shut up! You really think I can't see through your act? You are not sick at all, are you? Her face changed. She looked at him in a panic. Alexander, she is crazy. He frowned and took a step closer to me. Isabella, stop it! Looking at his cold gaze, I suddenly found everything so laughable. I had loved this man for 3 years, but it was nothing compared to a conniving old flame. I took a deep breath. The biggest regret of my life is falling in love with you. With that, I let go of the railing and fell backward into the dark, churning sea. No. He let out a heart-wrenching scream and rushed forward to grab me. But he only caught air. As I fell into the sea, I made a silent vow. If I survived, I would make them pay. After jumping into the sea, I was rescued by Ethan Croft, the CEO of Croft Pharmaceuticals. In 5 years, I became the internationally renowned jewelry designer Iris. Now, it was time for revenge. I stood at the entrance of the International Business Conference Hall, took a deep breath. Ready? Ethan asked softly from my side. I nodded slightly, a smirk on my red lips. 5 years, the show is finally about to begin. I entered the hall, my eyes searching for Alexander. I took a glass of champagne from a waiter's tray and walked towards him. Just as I was about to pass him, I deliberately tripped on my dress, pretending to be about to fall. A waiter caught me. "Ma'am, are you all right?" The commotion was enough to attract the attention of those around, including him. I straightened up slightly. "Thank you, I am fine." The moment he saw me, his pupils contracted, the wine glass in his hand almost slipping. He walked towards me, his eyes fixed on my face. A cold hatred flashed in my eyes, but I quickly forced a slight smile. "Sir, do we know each other?" "Hello, I am Alexander Thorne, the CEO of the Thorne Corporation," he said with difficulty, his gaze still on my face, as if trying to find evidence that I was Isabella. But now, my appearance was very different from 5 years ago. A smile played on my lips. "Mr. Thorne, a pleasure. I am Iris." Just as I finished, Ethan walked over. I linked my arm with his and leaned against him intimately. "This is my husband, Ethan." Ethan calmly extended his hand. "Mr. Thorne, a pleasure." Alexander looked at him, his gaze cold. The moment their hands met, I saw his hand tremble slightly. A satisfied smile appeared on my face. "Mr. Thorne, we have other engagements, so we'll be leaving now." As I was about to leave with Ethan, he suddenly grabbed my wrist. "Miss Iris, do you also go by the name Isabella Croft?" I gently pulled my hand away. "Mr. Thorne, you must have mistaken me for someone else. I have always lived abroad and have only just returned this month." With that, I didn't give him a chance to ask more questions and turned to leave. For the rest of the evening, he was ostensibly talking to others, but his eyes were always following me. I deliberately let him see me and Ethan being intimate, see me effortlessly mingling with the various celebrities. Just as the banquet was about to end, the side door of the hall was pushed open, and a little boy of about 3 or 4 ran in straight towards me. He called out to me affectionately, "Mommy." Alexander looked at us, his eyes widening. A barely perceptible smile played on my lips. After the banquet, Ethan was driving us away when he ran over, pounding on the car window. "Miss Iris, we need to talk." His voice was almost a hiss. The window slowly rolled down, revealing my cold profile. "Mr. Thorne, what can I do for you?" he asked eagerly. "This child, is he?" Ethan cut him off. "Mr. Thorne, you seem very interested in my son." His face instantly darkened. A sarcastic smile played on my lips. "Mr. Thorne, if there is nothing else, we'll be leaving now." The window rolled up, and the black sedan drove away, leaving him standing in the night, a heavy weight in his chest after a while. Ethan glanced at me in the rearview mirror. "The plan is going smoothly. He is already suspicious of Leo's identity." I looked down and gently stroked my son's hair, a complicated look in my eyes. "Yes, so smoothly, it makes me a little uneasy. Don't worry, no matter what happens, I'll always be by your side." His voice was gentle and firm. I closed my eyes and leaned back in my seat. The wheels of revenge had already begun to turn. The pain he had inflicted on me 5 years ago, I would repay 100-fold. To confirm whether I was Isabella, he deliberately invested in my jewelry brand. At the contract signing, I smiled and extended my hand. "Mr. Thorne, I didn't realize you were also interested in jewelry." Our hands touched briefly, but I could feel his nervousness. His pale eyes held a smile. "Miss Iris, I am very interested in the design philosophy of your Rebirth series." My expression stiffened for a moment, but I quickly recovered. The Rebirth series was created after a major life-changing event. It explores the relationship between destruction and new life. He looked at me with curiosity. "Could you elaborate on what kind of event it was?" I gave a polite but distant smile. "Personal reasons. I am afraid I can't discuss it in detail." For the next half hour we discussed possible collaborations. His gaze would occasionally wander to my right wrist. I knew he was looking for a scar to confirm if I was Isabella. After the signing, he suddenly asked, "Miss Iris, I wonder if you would be interested in having dinner with me. I am sorry, I have to pick up my son from kindergarten later. Perhaps another time." Hearing me mention my son, his expression changed subtly. "How old is your son?" I thought for a moment and replied softly, 4. As I left, I caught a glimpse of his face out of the corner of my eye. He had lowered his gaze, his expression very complicated. One morning, I was drawing in my studio when Ethan came in, panting excitedly. He went to Leo's kindergarten and had someone take a used straw. I stopped what I was doing. "The fish has taken the bait, is everything arranged?" He nodded. While playing with my son at the amusement park, a gaze had been following us. I smirked. He walked straight towards me. "Isabella," he said, using that name directly. My face turned pale. "Mr. Thorne, you've mistaken me for someone else." He took a piece of paper out of his pocket, his voice low and dangerous. "Stop pretending. The paternity test results show that Leo is my son. You are Isabella. You are not dead." My voice trembled with anger. "How dare you do a paternity test with my son?" he sneered. "You disappeared with my son for 5 years, and now you are asking how I dare." Leo ran down from the slide, looking at him curiously. "Mommy, who is this uncle?" I shielded him. "He is just an unimportant person, darling. Let's go home." "Isabella." He blocked my path. "Where do you think you are going with my son?" I covered Leo's ears. "Mr. Thorne, you have a short memory. You were the one who didn't want this child 5 years ago." A thin layer of red appeared in his eyes. "So you admit you are Isabella?" I rolled my eyes and didn't answer. I quickly picked up Leo and walked towards the entrance. He chased after me and stopped me in the parking lot. "Isabella, do you know I've been looking for you all these years?" Looking for me, a bitter smile crossed my face. Looking for me, or for my kidney? A flicker of panic crossed his eyes. "Isabella, let me explain." "Explain what? That you wanted my kidney for your old flame, or that you finally realized how inconvenient it is without me as a substitute?" "I am sorry, Isabella. I was wrong." He staggered, his voice trembling. I said sarcastically, "Your apology does nothing to soothe the hurt I've suffered." His legs gave way, and he knelt before me. "Isabella, I know I have no right to ask for forgiveness, but please, let me finish." I was stunned for a moment. This always arrogant, cold, and aloof Mr. Thorne was now kneeling before me. I said softly to my son, "Leo, go get in the car first." Leo nodded obediently and got in the car. His voice was broken. "I've read every page you recorded every day we were together, and I never really looked at you." He knelt forward, his hands trembling as he reached for the hem of my clothes. Then pulled back. I was blinded by obsession. I thought my obsession with her was love, but I didn't know that true love was already here with you. A bitter smile played on my lips. I slapped him hard across the face. "The hurt you've caused me has already been done. What is the point of saying all this now? Do you think I'll forgive you just because you say a few sweet words?" He desperately hugged my legs, sobbing, "I am sorry, I am sorry." He kept repeating those 3 words, watching this once, proud. As, a god-man groveling at my feet, a triumphant smile played on my lips. "Get up, Alexander." He slowly let go, still kneeling. "These past 5 years I've been living in a hell of regret now that I know you are alive and we have our child." His voice choked. "Isabella, I don't dare to ask for much. Just let me see our son occasionally. Let me fulfill a little of my fatherly duty." I looked down at him, my eyes burning with anger. "You are not worthy." With that, I got in the car without a backward glance. The car started and drove forward through the rearview mirror. I saw him kneeling on the ground, crying his heart out. A meaningful smile played on my lips. This was just the beginning. Evelyn couldn't sit still anymore. She came to my studio and sat on the sofa, looking arrogant. Well, if it isn't Isabella, you've been dead for 5 years. How did you come back to life? I was calm. I came back to life to take your dog life. Her red lips curved into a contemptuous smile. I hear you also brought back a little bastard. What a surprise. My fingers tightened slightly, my nails digging into my palm. I hadn't even gone to find her, and she had come to me swaggering. She suddenly strode over to me. Do you think that by faking your death for 5 years and coming back with a child? I looked up at her and suddenly understood something. She was afraid I would steal him away, so she was here to warn me. Since you care so much about him, why don't you let him take you away himself? I took out my phone and called him. The call connected quickly. Alexander, your old flame is here making a scene. Please come and deal with it. Her face turned pale. She wanted to grab the phone, but I had already hung up. Her fingers froze in mid-air. She took a few steps back and recomposed herself. Do you think you can win like this? You are too naive. My silence angered her even more. He only feels guilty towards you now. He raised his voice. When he comes to his senses, he will understand who is truly right for him. Just as he finished, his tall figure appeared at the door. Evelyn, what are you doing? Her expression instantly became aggrieved, her eyes even welling up with tears. Alexander, I just heard that Isabella was back and wanted to see her, but she seems to have some misunderstanding about me. The same act again. I couldn't help but laugh softly. There is no misunderstanding. It is just that Miss Ross seems to have a problem with me and Leo's existence. Since you are here, please take this madwoman away, immediately. If she ever dares to appear in front of me again, don't force me to slap her. His eyes were dark and unreadable, his gaze shifting between me and her. He sighed. Let's go. She gave me a resentful glare, but in front of him, she still maintained her elegant posture. Isabella, we'll have a good chat another time. With that, she linked her arm with his and left men. The more manipulative a woman is, the more he loves her. I wanted to know, between his son and this green tea bitch, who would he choose? 3 days later, my studio's official website was suddenly attacked by a large number of malicious comments. Someone anonymously posted that I was a fraud who had faked my death for money, that I was a mistress, and that Leo was an illegitimate child. Because of these negative comments, several clients who had already agreed to work with me canceled one after another. When I went to pick up Leo from kindergarten, his teacher's eyes were also a little strange. Miss Croft, she said, hesitating. Some parents have expressed some confusion about Leo's identity. I said dismissively. What does Leo's identity have to do with them? They can't seem to mind their own business. After leaving the kindergarten, I went to Ethan's company. He asked me, could this be his doing? I shook my head. It is most likely her. He gave me a meaningful look. I'll announce on the company's official website now that you are my wife and Leo is my son. That will put an end to the rumors. I nodded gratefully. Just after he had posted the announcement, I received a call from him. Isabella, let's talk. After hanging up, I said to Ethan, take me to the studio. It is time for the first round of our confrontation. He narrowed his eyes, a faint smile playing on his lips. At the studio entrance, he was standing there holding a file. Seeing me with Ethan, his face suddenly darkened. Isabella, can I talk to you alone? I glanced at Ethan. He is not an outsider. An undercurrent of displeasure swirled in his eyes. He handed me the file. She did all this, I just found out. I didn't take it. So, are you here to apologize on her behalf? I am here to help you. Oh, how? I will compensate you for the losses she has caused you. Ethan, standing beside me, suddenly laughed. Mr. Thorne, do you think we're short of a few pennies? If you really want to help, you should make the perpetrator pay the price, not just try to buy our silence. He looked at Ethan, his face ashen. Mr. Croft, when did you develop a hobby of raising other people's children? Whoever the mother and child recognize as the father is the father? Mr. Thorne, who do you think you are? Ethan said triumphantly, giving me a wink. I stood on my tiptoes, cupped his face in my hands, and pressed my lips to his. He clenched his fists, his face flushed with anger. Seeing him like this, a playful look slowly spread across my face. Mr. Thorne, my husband and I have other things to attend to. We won't be keeping you company. Ethan timely took my hand, his eyes gentle. As we passed him, a triumphant smile spread across his face. Back at the studio, I noticed Ethan's cheeks were flushed. I felt that he might have feelings for me beyond just a partnership. He asked softly, "Is there something on my face?" I looked away. "No, I was just thinking about something." "What?" My voice was calm and firm. "Ethan, if I take over all of the Ross family's business, how long do you think they can last?" He gave a knowing. "With me, they'll be bankrupt in less than 3 days." 3 days later, the Ross Corporation's stock price plummeted by 80%, on the verge of bankruptcy. When he came to find me, I was in the studio, drawing with Leo. His face was as dark as iron. "Can we talk?" I motioned for my assistant to take my son away, then stood up and sat down on the sofa. "Mr. Thorne, if you are here to plead for her, then don't bother." "Isabella, don't you think you've gone too far? The Ross family's business has been built up for decades, and you and Ethan have destroyed it in a few days." I looked at him. My eyes filled with the look you give a fool. Compared to her slandering me online as a mistress and saying my son is illegitimate, I think I've been quite merciful. "Don't you forget. He is also your son. Those comments have been deleted." He raised his voice. "Besides, she was just emotional. Why did you have to be so ruthless?" And just like 5 years ago, he was still firmly on her side. I almost laughed out loud. "Deleted? Does that erase the harm she has caused me and my son?" He frowned. "What do you want?" "I want her to apologize publicly and admit she spread rumors." "Impossible, she has too much pride." I cut him off. "Then there is nothing to talk about. You should have heard of Ethan's business tactics." At the mention of his name, his expression clearly twisted. "What is your relationship with him?" "Him," I paused, then continued. "Of course he is my husband and my son's father." His eyes dimmed. He took a step closer to me. "You've been married for 3 years, yet you often live apart. He never attends any of your events. Now he is suddenly making a big move for you. Do you think that is reasonable?" I met his gaze. "Mr. Thorne is so concerned about my marital status. Anyone who didn't know better would think you were jealous. Don't let yourself be used by him without even knowing it. What kind of person is he? He'll help you for no reason." "At least he did help me," I retorted. "And you? When she was slandering me, what did you do?" He was speechless, a look of embarrassment in his eyes. I continued. "If you really want to help her, you should go talk to Ethan. See if he is as easy to talk to as I am." "You've changed. The old you wouldn't be so cold," he said, his voice low. I chuckled. "People change, especially when they've been hurt." He fell silent. Just then, his phone rang. Even from a distance, I could hear her hysterical sobs. "Alexander, they took Dad away. The tax bureau suddenly came to audit the accounts and said he was suspected of tax evasion. It was Ethan." He looked at me, his eyes filled with both blame and a strange expectation. "Are you just going to stand by and watch?" I was speechless. "What else, Mr. Thorne? Don't waste your time here." His eyes dimmed. As he turned to leave, his back looked unusually dejected. I opened my phone and saw a message from Ethan. Done. The Ross family is bankrupt. A sinister smile played on my lips. Alexander, you are next. Between Leo and her, who will you choose? The hospital corridor was so long, it felt like it would never end. I stood at the door of the VIP. I paced anxiously in front of the hospital room door. Just then, he suddenly appeared. Isabella! What is wrong? Why are you at the hospital? My voice was barely a whisper. Leo has leukemia. His expression changed drastically, his eyes filled with anxiety. How could this be? I cried. Alexander, please save him. The doctor said he needs a bone marrow transplant. Ethan and I are not a match. You are his last hope. I'll get tested. I'd give my life to save him. His voice was choked. The matching results would take a few days. During those days, he practically lived at the hospital. He seemed to care more about Leo than I had imagined. On the morning of the third day, the doctor brought the news. The doctor's words were like a bucket of ice water poured over our heads. Just as we were sinking into despair, an unexpected person appeared. She walked into the room, dressed in an exquisite designer suit, her high heels clicking, a faint scent of perfume wafting from her. It seemed the Ross family's bankruptcy hadn't affected her much. Well, with him around, she could still live a life of luxury. Alexander, I heard the child is sick. Is there anything I can do to help? Her voice was as gentle as water. He looked at her, about to speak, when I cut him off. Miss Ross, can you get tested? Her face instantly turned pale. She probably hadn't meant what she had just said. She was just trying to get his attention. She looked at him and stammered. I am not related to Leo. It is probably not a match. I persisted. What if it is? A stiff smile appeared on her lips. When they weren't looking, a barely perceptible smile played on my lips. The prey had walked right into the trap. How could I not kill it? 4 days later, her matching results came back. The doctor said excitedly. It is a 90% match. It is perfect. My legs gave way, and I knelt before him. She didn't speak. She looked at him. He looked at me with pity and defaulted to my request. Just then, her eyes reddened. Alexander, I want to donate my marrow to save him, but my health. He frowned and cut her off. Evelyn, save my son. As long as you agree to save him, I will take care of you for the rest of your life. She nodded in agreement. I was secretly overjoyed. Now they were both my fish on the chopping block. However, on the day of the surgery, she suddenly backed out. I trembled as I grabbed his sleeve, my voice filled with tears. Alexander, how could she do this? What are we going to do about Leo now? He gently patted my back. Don't worry, I will save our son. With that, he made a call. Tie her up and bring her to the hospital. Half an hour later, she appeared before us looking disheveled. She cried, I told you I am not donating. The child is not mine. Why should I sacrifice myself? He walked towards her step by step, his eyes burning with a furious flame. You promised. So what? The law doesn't say I have to donate my bone marrow. I timely rushed forward and held her hand tightly. Miss Ross, please save him. He'll die otherwise. She laughed foolishly. Isabella, when you bankrupted the Ross family, did you ever think this day would come? I knelt before her. I am sorry, it is all my fault. As long as you save him, I will give you all my assets. He helped me up and looked at her. Evelyn, you are donating whether you like it or not. A wave of fear crossed her pale face. Alexander, what do you mean? If you don't donate, I can make everything you have disappear overnight. You are threatening me. No, I am saving my son. Seeing them argue, a satisfied smile played on my lips. Noticing my smile, she looked at me in shock. She suddenly realized something. Isabella, Leo doesn't have leukemia, does he? You are making me donate my bone marrow to get back at me. I frantically grabbed his wrist and put on an innocent face. Alexander, she is crazy. How could I joke about something like this? A dark cloud formed between his brows. Evelyn, you have no choice. With that, he waved his hand, and his men dragged her into the operating room. She completely broke down, sobbing hysterically. I was secretly overjoyed. Does this scene feel familiar, Evelyn? You only know it hurts when you are the one being hit. Leo's surgery was a success. When the doctor announced that his hematopoietic function was beginning to recover, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. He pulled me into his arms. Isabella, our son is fine. Divorce Ethan and come back to me. My body stiffened. I looked at him in disbelief. Divorce Ethan and be with him. Didn't he find that ridiculous? Anger and resentment roared in my blood. I gently pushed him away and was about to refuse when a scream came from her room. We immediately ran to her room. When she saw me, she screamed frantically, Isabella, you've ruined me. Now I am a complete cripple. I looked at her with a wronged expression. Miss Ross, what is wrong? I am going to kill you. It is you who paralyzed me. She lunged at me, wanting to hit me. But her body was already immobile. A doctor beside him explained that it was a post-operative infection that had caused the paralysis. In a place they couldn't see, a corner of my lip curled up. She suddenly broke down in hysterical sobs. Alexander, what am I going to do now? He walked over to her and took her hand. He thought for a moment, then looked at me with a helpless expression before he spoke. Evelyn, let's get married. I'll take care of you in the future. She looked at him with emotion. Really? He nodded seriously. How ridiculous. A second ago he was asking me to be with him, and now he was going to marry her. He was so fickle. Well, that is just him, isn't it? Between me and her, he had always chosen her. But I wasn't sad at all, because the plan was all under my control. As I was about to silently leave the room, he suddenly fainted. He was rushed to the emergency room. The next day, I went to her room to see her. When she saw me, her body involuntarily tensed, but she quickly calmed down. She looked at me with the air of a victor. Isabella, so what if you gave him a son? The one he is marrying in the end is still me. I bent down and whispered in her ear. Evelyn, you are right. Leo never had leukemia. I was just getting back at you. Her pupils contracted, and her lips trembled. What did you say? My eyes flashed with a fierce light. Not only that, but your paralysis was also arranged by me with the doctor. Oh, and it cost me a lot of money. The woman on the bed was struck by lightning. Her face suddenly turned pale, as if all the life had been drained from her. Isabella, you are so evil. I suddenly laughed out loud. The laughter was particularly piercing in the quiet room. I am evil? Evelyn, when you faked your illness and had him force me to donate my kidney, did you ever think about how evil you were? She suddenly shivered, her eyes filled with terror. She stammered, I am going to tell him your true colors. I smiled dismissively. I am afraid you won't have the chance because he doesn't have much time left. With that, I left her room with a triumphant look on my face. As I left, she was screaming frantically behind me. Isabella, what did you do to him? He was diagnosed with late-stage lung cancer after he fainted. I took care of him with gentle care, but his health deteriorated day by day. Knowing he didn't have long to live, he gave all his assets to me and Leo. He instructed me. Isabella, you have to take good care of Leo. I nodded, crying. He studied my face carefully, his eyes gentle. Isabella, I am sorry. I've hurt you so much in this life. If there is a next life, I will atone for my sins. A smile played on my lips. I looked down at him. It is okay. You've already paid for it in this life. The room was suddenly terribly quiet. His expression froze. He blinked. not understanding what I was saying. Alex, I have something to tell you. He looked at me confused. I said slowly. Actually, Leo never had leukemia. His face instantly turned ashen. He stared at me, as if seeing my true face for the first time. What did you say? Not just that. I slowly took a medicine bottle out of my bag. Do you know what this is? It is a carcinogen. I put it in your food every day. It has been slowly eating away at your lungs. Enough, he interrupted me, struggling to get out of bed, but fell back due to weakness, triggering a violent coughing fit. He clutched his chest, coughing his heart out. In the end, his hand was covered in a pool of fresh blood. I watched coldly, and only after he had finished coughing did I continue. Oh, and Ethan gave me this medicine. His expression went from shock to anger, then to an unbelievable pain. Isabella, why did you do this to me? I laughed out loud. The laughter echoed in the room, sharp and piercing. Why, I'd like to ask why you forced me to donate my kidney to her 5 years ago. A dazed look crossed his eyes, he remembered. My voice held no warmth. When you were at your lowest, I was the one who stayed by your side, but you treated me like that. I leaned closer to him, my eyes burning with the flames of hatred. I got close to you just for revenge. Oh, and I forgot to tell you. He is not your son. He is an orphan I adopted. When Ethan saved me from the sea, our child was still alive, but I aborted him. His eyes were filled with suspicion. Then what about the paternity test? It was fake, I said with a cruel smile. Do you think I would have a child with someone like you? Someone like you deserves to be childless. These words were like knives stabbing straight into his heart. His body trembled violently, the light in his eyes fading bit by bit. He tried to speak but could only manage a broken sound. I straightened my collar, my expression returning to it. The assets you've left for me and Leo, we will make good use of them. He suddenly burst into a fit of mad laughter, a mix of coughing and sobbing. Isabella, you are so evil. I stared at him with fierce eyes. I am evil. If I hadn't been lucky, I would have died in the sea 5 years ago. I am sorry. His eyes dimmed, his voice growing weaker and weaker, until it was inaudible. The moment the EKG went flat, a wave of triumphant pleasure filled me. When the medical staff rushed in, I stood to the side, watching them try to resuscitate him with a blank expression. When the doctor announced the time of death, I just nodded slightly, and then took out my phone and dialed a number. Hello, it is me. Our revenge is complete. After hanging up, I took one last look at his lifeless face and turned to leave. Outside the hospital, the sun was bright, warming my entire heart. A black sedan stopped in front of me. The window rolled down, and Ethan's head poked out. Isabella, get in. I got in woodenly. He asked me how it felt to have my revenge. It couldn't be more satisfying, I said, looking at him with a puzzled expression. Ethan, why did you help me? You could have gotten your revenge yourself. His younger aunt had been raped by his father while discussing business with him. His mother, out of jealousy, had had her killed. Later, to get revenge, he had arranged for his parents to die in a car accident. The Thorn Corporation had fallen into chaos. How ironic that in those difficult days, I was the one who had stayed by his side and helped him get back on his feet, only to end up in that situation. He gave me a slight smile. What other reason could there be? He paused, then continued. Because I like you. Your strength and kindness have long— I shook my head. Liking me will lead to nothing. I'll probably be shutting my heart off to love for the rest of my life, he said dismissively. Watching you shine from behind the scenes seems pretty good too. A warmth blossomed in my heart, a gentle ripple. Maybe, just maybe, I could try to start something with him, but I would never give him my whole heart because I couldn't afford to gamble again.